Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel, and boy, oh boy, do we have an exciting Nintendo Direct to talk about today. So, of course, it is Tuesday, September 13th, and I just finished watching. Minutes ago, I just finished watching the big September Nintendo Direct that we've all been waiting for a very long time, because as we know, Nintendo did not give us the summer E3 related Nintendo Direct presentation that we had expected and really hoped for. And so all of everyone's excitement and hype for a Nintendo Direct and new games and reveals really built up for an extra long period of time. And rumors were flying about this Direct. The dates were getting around out there that it would be announced yesterday on the 12th, which it was. Everyone talking about Zelda remasters and Metroid remasters and all sorts of other things. And a couple of things did come true in this Direct, and obviously a couple of things did not come true. The big thing, though, is The Legend of Zelda. I'm trying not to bury the lead, but at the end of the day, it's Zelda. They finished with Zelda. It's so exciting. And so I don't even know where I want to start yet. I told myself I wanted to start off with Zelda, but maybe I'll jump into some other things first. Either way, I think it was a really great Direct. It's not like the most amazing Direct, but there were some massive, massive bombs in this Direct. Actually, maybe it is a great Direct. Maybe it just is a great Direct. Actually, I think I'm feeling too excited about it right now to lie about it. I think it was a really great Direct. So we'll just jump into the things that I found interesting and exciting to me. There was a handful of very cool announcements and huge games. And obviously the first thing, they started off big with the new Fire Emblem game called Fire Emblem Engage, and it looks incredible. I cannot freaking wait. I love the Fire Emblem series, or at least I've learned to love the Fire Emblem series over the past 10 or 12 years or so. Obviously going back to Fire Emblem Awakening. Yes, I'm one of those people that kind of fell in line with the success of that game and realized how fun that series could be, and I've loved every game since. And there were rumors and leaked pictures about a new Fire Emblem game floating around out there for a while, and it turned out that today we saw it is real, Fire Emblem Engage. And here's the thing, you guys. I love Fire Emblem. I've played most of the games since Awakening, and I spent a ton of time with Three Houses. I think that game is just spectacular. However, I will admit, I'm not like a Fire Emblem expert, and I sometimes get confused on who some of the legacy characters are. You can laugh all you want, because yes, I play the Smash Brothers game, so you think I would understand them even better because of Smash Brothers, but I don't. I get confused sometimes. So when I saw this trailer, I was pretty sure I saw Ike show up, and I was like, whoa, what is that not Ike? Is this a remake? Is he coming back for another game? But then there was another character, and one of the characters referred to him as Marth. And so I know that those Ike and Marth are characters from Fire Emblem games, I think before they started releasing in the West, I believe. But of course, I know them only through Smash Brothers. I never play as them in Smash Brothers, so I don't really know a lot about them. And again, the Nintendo Direct finished minutes ago. I didn't start researching who the characters were online. I just started recording this video. So I just need to point out that I'm a little confused on the characters in the story, and if those are old characters, and if this is some sort of mishmash of universes. I don't even know, and I don't care. Because all I know is that when the game releases, I'll get engaged in whatever that story is, and I'm going to love the gameplay of what that game is. So again, I'm not a lore and a character expert. I'm admitting it to you so you guys can laugh and point out where I'm right and where I'm wrong in the comments, and that's fine. At the end of the day, it's a new Fire Emblem. It looks fantastic. I'm going to love the gameplay and the story when I finally do play it. It's coming out in January, which is insane. It is only like 5 months away. What an amazing way to start the Direct. I am so excited. Another game I want to shout out is Octopath Traveler 2. This is really exciting to me because obviously the HD 2D thing is really taking off, and we're seeing a lot of games using this art style, and it's great. I love it. I never get sick of it. It's so beautiful. And Octopath Traveler, I believe, was the first game to ever do this and introduce us to that visual style. And ironically enough for me, many of you know I am not an RPG fan. I'm not a big JRPG fan. I do dabble in some franchises like Xenoblade, for example, is really the big one for me. But Octopath Traveler, I don't know what it was, man, but I loved that game. I freaking loved it. I never even beat it, but I put in like 60 hours or something into the game. And that's just what happens to me with really long games like that, unfortunately. I usually end up just kind of tapering off and something else comes in and takes my time away. But I loved the hell out of that game. I mean, I literally, you put in 40 to 60 hours into a game, you've experienced that game. And I loved it. I just never saw how the story wrapped up, unfortunately. But that's okay. I just loved the battles and the graphics. And so having another Octopath game is so exciting. I didn't have time to pick up Live Alive, and maybe one day I go back and pick it up, but I do want to play it. I just unfortunately didn't get to it at the time. I think I was too focused on Xenoblade Chronicles 3 instead. But Octopath, it's a special game to me because I don't normally like games like this, but I loved that game. It was just simple enough for my stupid brain to just get sucked in and love the combat and the visuals and the characters. So really excited to see Octopath Traveler. That's also coming out at the beginning of the year next year as well. So Q1 for the Switch is looking really stacked. Then I have to give a special shout out to Goldeneye 007 getting announced for the Nintendo Switch online service for the Nintendo 64 stuff for the expansion pack. You guys, this is so massive. And I'm in a weird position here because I'm not currently paying for the expansion pack and I don't really see value in it. Even though the Nintendo 64 is my favorite console of all time, it might seem silly, but when they raised the price from $20 to $50 a year, I was like, and I can afford it, don't get me wrong, but on principle alone, I'm just like, it's not worth it. If you would raise the price by $10, it would have been worth it, but they more than doubled it. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm already in the market to buy myself a new Nintendo 64 anyway from my local retro store, which I've been thinking about doing. And it's like, I really just want to go and get a regular 64, and I want to buy GoldenEye for that, and a couple of other games like Mario Kart and Rayman 2, and just go kind of old school with it, man. Because I just don't have my old N64 anymore. It got lost in some moves over the decades, and I don't know where it is. So I just kind of want to do that. However, what I can't deny is how massive this announcement is for GoldenEye to come to the Nintendo Switch Online. And it does have online multiplayer battles. So for that one reason, you guys, I'm kind of considering just giving in and subscribing to it just because I think that is so freaking cool. And that is something I can't do on my regular N64. I'd have to be playing it on the Switch Online service, right? So that one's a weird one for me as far as my feelings on it, but I love that this happened. This opens the door for a lot of things, you guys, because suddenly the rights situation around that game has started to become a little bit more clear. And that includes not only for re-releases of the original N64 game, but any possible releases of the old canceled HD remaster or even a future remake or remaster of that game if maybe Xbox wanted to do it. Clearly, the rights between MGM Studios, between Nintendo, and between Rare have worked out to such a degree that the original game can get re-released on one of the major platforms' online service. That alone changes the entire situation, so I expect we will be seeing that old 360 HD remaster show up on the Xbox Series X, you guys, or on Game Pass or whatever. I really think it's going to happen soon simply because this game was announced. So to me, this was a massive piece of news from this Direct. Okay, now I need to gush over easily my favorite new game announcement, and you know what it is. It is Pikmin freaking 4. You guys, I cannot believe that Pikmin 4 is finally a real game. Like, I'm even just talking about it, I'm geeking. I feel like a child. It makes me fill with such childlike giddy glee to talk about Pikmin 4 being freaking real. I'm so excited. So this one is so important to me for so many reasons, you guys. One, because Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 3 are two of my favorite games I've ever played. Admittedly, I just never spent a lot of time with Pikmin 2. At the time that it released, it's just one of those things that sometimes a game just eludes you. I was in my mid-20s, you know, playing on my GameCube, and I loved it, and I had Pikmin 2, but it's just, I don't know, whatever was happening at the time, it's just not a game I got into. But I loved the first game on the GameCube. I thought it was really cool. But then Pikmin 3 on the Wii U blew my mind, you guys. I just love Pikmin 3. And to me, the gamepad experience combined with using the Wii Remote was essential to that experience. So I love that Pikmin 3 Deluxe came to the Switch, don't get me wrong. but to me, it was losing something by losing the gamepad support. You know, you guys can yell at me all you want. You know me. I am a diehard Wii U defender. I love the gamepad when it was used well. Pikmin 3, arguably maybe the best usage or one of the best uses of that controller for anything on the Wii U. And I think Pikmin 3 shined because of its dual screen gameplay, and especially when you use the Wii remote. And so because of that, Pikmin 3 became just one of my favorite games of all time. And Pikmin 4 went through this weird thing where Miyamoto confirmed it and then it disappeared, and then we got the Hey Pikmin, and it was like, what the hell is this? And it's just that game has been disappeared for just forever. And a couple of years ago, if you follow me, you know, every time a Direct was going to be announced or every predictions video I ever made, going back like probably 3 years, I said, I still believe Pikmin 4 is real. I still believe it's going to release on the Switch. Miyamoto has not given up on it. It has not been canceled, and I think it's going to show up in this Direct. I've said that before every Direct for years. And the reason I think it's important to point that out is because most of the world gave up on that game. People said, it's dead, it's gone, it's not coming, it's canceled, it's vaporware, you're never going to see it. Stop predicting it. And I understand why. And honestly, for years, I thought you guys were probably right, but I was never going to give up hope because it didn't seem to make sense that that game would disappear the way Miyamoto talked about it back in 2015. So I think what happened with Pikmin 4 is exactly what happened with Pikmin 3, where Pikmin 3 was discussed as a Wii game for years, but it disappeared and never showed up until it resurfaced as a Wii U game. And I think that's what happened with Pikmin 4. In 2015, Wii U was the thing. That's what Nintendo was making games for and promoting. So I think Miyamoto talked about it because it was supposed to be a Wii U game, but then they realized it wasn't going to make sense on the Wii U. They were going to move on to the next thing. So that game also went into the background and has been being developed for the Switch this whole time, and now is finally ready to release in 2023. We got virtually no gameplay. Actually, we got no gameplay, but we got discussions about how the gameplay will be different, and we're going to play kind of more from the Pikmin's perspective in some cases, down like, you know, lower to the ground as opposed to maybe from a top view. I don't know. Miyamoto talked about it. It's very exciting. This game just feels right to me. It is the kind of game that kind of reignite some of my passion around gaming, because I have been faltering a little bit on just how I feel about gaming as a hobby in general. And Pikmin 4 is a big savior moment for me, you guys. So, great news coming to the Switch 2023. Let's frickin' go. And then, of course, the big thing, you guys, they closed out with one more thing, and it is The Legend of Zelda. No longer called Breath of the Wild 2, can you believe it? We no longer have to refer to it to that title. We know what this game is called. It is called Tears of the Kingdom. This is a surreal moment, you guys. This is a very surreal moment. It was 2019. E3 2019, we first saw this game teased as a sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Very cool trailer that showed off a bunch of cinematic stuff, got us very excited. Then, of course, last year, after 2 years of waiting for any news about it, we thought it was going to release in 2022. It got delayed, obviously, this year to next year. But then last year at E3, we got an updated trailer that showed us some gameplay, let us know the sky is going to play a huge part of the game. Incredibly exciting. I love what I saw there. And then today, we finally got this title, Tears of the Kingdom. And it is sticking to spring next year. I doubted them. I thought it was going to get delayed to holiday, but I was wrong. It is coming out May 12th, 2023. Now, obviously, you guys know me. I could make a whole ass conversation around Breath of the Wild 2. Or listen to me, I'm still calling it Breath of the Wild 2. Gotta change my brain. It's Tears of the Kingdom now. So, I could make a whole ass video around Tears of the Kingdom's release date and how that could tie in to a new Switch, right? You guys know me. That's the kind of stuff I like to talk about. I've been predicting it for a while. But I'm not going to do that in this video. We'll wait. I'll come back in a couple of days, and obviously I can probably make a 15-minute video about just that topic. So we're not going to talk about what that might mean for any hardware. Just talking about the game and the release date. This is great because, again, I thought the game was going to get delayed. I thought they were going to make it their big holiday game next year. And again, maybe also coincide that with some new hardware. but they're sticking to spring. And it's not early spring. It's not, you know, people thought it was going to land on this Switch anniversary, Breath of the Wild anniversary, March 3rd. And that never really made sense to me. And also, I don't think March 3rd is spring yet, right? So coming out in May is a great time for this game. It's right before the summer hits. It's an exciting time for all of us to play a new Zelda game. It's still close to when Breath of the Wild launched. It's only 2 months difference. And so Nintendo showed that you can release new hardware and a new Zelda game, big franchise, in that, you know, early time frame of the year, the first half basically, before the summer, and have a huge hit. Breath of the Wild has sold like 26 million or almost 30 million copies, I think, right? As of the last update. So Tears of the Kingdom is going to be a massive hit, you guys. And now the Switch has like 120 million units out there, so just forget about it. It's going to sell like crazy, and even more so if it does also release on new hardware, which again, I'm not going to talk about here. Now, what I did want to call out is the way this trailer started, because the way it showed Link running off a cliff and then jumping and diving off of a cliff before, like, I don't know, landing on some floating platform or something. I don't know how many of you guys caught it or if you're old enough to have seen this, but it reminds me of the first time they showed off Skyward Sword on the Wii at E3 back in, I don't know, was that 2010 or 2011? Whatever that showcase was where they showed us this. Skyward Sword was showed off with an almost identical opening moment of a CG version of Link, I believe, running and jumping off of a cliff, and then I'm pretty sure they showed him calling his Loftwing. You'll be seeing footage of it here, so I can't remember exactly. But it was the concept was introduced to us by seeing Link running and jumping off into the sky and just jumping off a cliff, and then there he goes. And that's exactly how they opened up this little bit of footage of Tears of the Kingdom. And so I think that they're further showing us that this is going to have a major connection to either the story and the story elements of Skyward Sword, or maybe the games are supposed to be directly connected, or they're just trying to thematically echo Skyward Sword, which I think is great, because that game, even before it got re-released on the Switch, I think that game got a bad rap, and I really like Skyward Sword. I've loved it since I played it back on the Wii. I've always defended it. I've always defended the controls. I loved the Switch HD remaster last year as well. I thought it was great. And so it seems like they're really trying to build off of what that game did and incorporate it into Tears of the Kingdom, right? Into the new Zelda game that is also a sequel to Breath of the Wild. So it's very crazy. It's very mysterious still. They didn't give us more than just a quick clip of some footage, the new title, and the release date, which is huge news. Obviously, in, I don't know, I'm going to wager March, they're probably going to give us a massive, like, I'm predicting like an hour-long Nintendo Treehouse about that game. Well, they'll show us a ton of gameplay, have interviews, tell us about what the game's going to be like. That's what I'm predicting for Tears of the Kingdom, right? Is a big, massive treehouse to showcase that game. Hard to talk about what they did show footage-wise. We saw this platform being lifted using that power we saw him use in the prior trailer. We saw him landing on this big floating disc thing. I assume he can call that and control it the same way you used the Loftwings before. I don't know, man. It's now we just get to pour over that and see what we can find out. But I just thought it was really exciting looking. I loved everything they showed. I love that we have a title and a release date for this game. And you know it's real because they gave us a release date. May 12th. Put it on your calendars because Tears of the Kingdom will finally release on that day. So these are my thoughts. I know people might have different feelings. I loved the Direct. So many great games. Fatal Frame showed up. We didn't get the Zelda ports, and we did not hear from Metroid, which is sad, and it is surprising because I sure believed we would. I might talk about that stuff on another video. I don't want to spend too much more time here talking about that. I think that's probably worthy of its own video topic. So sure, that stuff is disappointing, and obviously as a Metroid fan, yes, but I'm sad, but like, how can I care when I got a new Fire Emblem, I got a Pikmin 4, and we got real Zelda information? I mean, I'm just not that greedy. I'm not going to be disappointed. This was a great show. I loved it. Zelda time, Pikmin time, baby. Let's go. So this is what I thought. Share what you guys thought below. And with that, this video was a wrap. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on another video. Bye-bye.